Yeah, you won't.
Okay. Good evening, folks. Welcome to our November meeting. We have a couple of public hearings to start off before we go to our regular meeting. So can I entertain a motion, please, to open up the public hearing for proposed local law tax exemption for volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers?
Make a motion.
Thank you. Can I have a second for that, please?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
I abstain.
You abstain because you're a
Who abstained?
retired Frank. He's a retired
Frank
firefighter.
abstained.
Yeah, I abstain.
Yeah, he's got a personal interest.
Oh, okay.
We're not giving him a 10% discount.
I need it.
Would anybody like to speak at this public hearing? Have a motion to close the public hearing on 10% discount. Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All in favor, all opposed? You're still abstaining, right?
Yep.
Okay. Can I entertain a motion to open a public hearing to present the 2024 preliminary budget for the town of Seneca Falls?
Make a
I'll
motion.
make a motion.
And a second, please.
Second.
Got it? All in
Who made
favor,
the
please
motion?
say aye.
Wait a minute.
Caitlin made the motion. Frank seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. Would anybody like to speak about the preliminary 2024 budget? Yes, you want?
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
It's like being in an auction. Once you go like that, you get it. Okay, so the progression of budgets, it starts out with a tentative budget that Peter and I presented to the town clerk. And then we had 3 budget workshops, and we went through some different things. And then tonight we're presenting the preliminary budget. And then if the board approves, we'll adopt the preliminary budget as the 2024 budget moving forward, if the board approves. Okay? I don't think I have a resolution to do that, but we're going to probably have to do it with without a resolution.
It's on the agenda.
You can make one up.
Make one up. You're good at
You
it.
don't need
Yeah,
it.
I'll make one.
Okay. All right, can I have a motion to close the... Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, Town Clerk Greer, would you please take roll call?
Mike Farrar,
Here.
Don Dyson,
Here.
Caitlin Lisakowski,
Here.
Frank Seneca,
Here.
Steve Churchill,
Here.
Mayor Corn.
Thank you. Would you please stand for the pledge in a moment of silence? I would ask you that in your moment of silence, if you would keep a beloved town member who passed away about 3 weeks ago, Menzo Case, keep him in your thoughts and prayers tonight and his family. Losing Menzo is a tremendous blow to Seneca Falls and the whole region. And we need to move on, but it's going to be very difficult. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, I just have a little bit of business to do. First of all, I would like to congratulate Mr. Schmitter on his victory last night as our new town supervisor, starting January 1st. I'd like to congratulate Don Dyson, who won another 4-year term. I would like to temporarily congratulate Jackson. It's not an official. There's some absentee ballots out there that will know the results by the 14th, but I wouldn't bet against it, so I will unofficially congratulate you. I'd like to congratulate Jeremy on his victory as highway superintendent. I'd also like to thank Steve Churchill for his, I think, 12 years of service, public service, between the county and the town.
Yep.
So on behalf of the people of Seneca Falls, thank you for your service and
Thank you.
greatly appreciate it.
And thank you, Mr. Farrar, for your service.
Thank you. It's time to ride off into the sunset.
It is.
Yet the young folk take care of it. And I'd like to congratulate Melissa Brown as she will be taking over as the new town clerk. We'll have a few kind words about Nick maybe in December, maybe. I'm not, no guarantee. Forget it. You'll be here. What do we got? 36 or 35?
39.
39.
Oh, he's
Holy shit, I'm getting old. Hey, God bless you. I have a proclamation that I'd like to just read into the record tonight, since the Cuban Nation is a very big part of Seneca Falls. Recognizing Native American Heritage Month in Seneca Falls, whereas Native American Heritage Month celebrates and recognizes the accomplishment of the people who were the original inhabitants, explorers, and settlers of the United States, in which we recognize as inextricably woven into the history of the town of Seneca Falls. Whereas the Iroquois Confederacy was founded in the 16th century, which is now central New York. Our present Seneca County, referred to as the county between the lakes, was the home of the Cayuga and the Seneca Indians. Whereas the Cayuga Nation, or the people of the Great Swamp, settled along both shores of Cayuga Lake, which was given their name, and the Senecas on both shores of Seneca Lake. They were said to be found between their two brothers, the Onondaga to the east and the Seneca to the west. Whereas in 1904, Seneca County was named for the Seneca Nation, and in March of 1829, the town of Seneca Falls was established and known by the Iroquois, or swift rolling water, Chassihonia, for the rapids which existed in the Seneca River prior to the 19th century. Whereas, as the first to live on this land, Native Americans and their traditions and values continue to inspire the ideas of self-governance and determination. Whereas Native Americans foster pride in their languages, traditions, and practices that make up the extraordinary richness of Native American culture, is essential to be shared progress, reaffirming a commitment to ensure such generation is versed with appreciation for the past. Whereas during this month of November, we honor our Native peoples and recognize their continued contributions. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Michael J. Farrar, Supervisor of the Town of Seneca Falls, do hereby proclaim November 2023 as Native American Heritage Month in the Town of Seneca Falls, and urge all residents to take the time to gain a deeper understanding of the diverse heritage of Native Americans, strengthen the preservation of Native American history, art, language, literature, anthropology, and culture, and renew awareness and appreciation, working as partners with Native Americans to build sustainable and healthy communities and embrace the diversity of our society. So I wanted to present that to the board, and I will be giving that to Mr. Halftown at some point. I also have a certificate of appreciation. Mr. Tullo, could you come up for a minute? Not that this is for you, but you're the closest we have to the water and sewer department. This is a certificate of appreciation from the Department of Health, New York State Department of Health and Environmental Conservation, Seneca Falls Wastewater Treatment Plant for volunteering in the statewide COVID-19 public health response as a participating member of the New York State Wastewater Surveillance Network. Your facility's commitment to this network demonstrates your continued service to public health and safety. So Joe and James, over the past 9-10 months, I think?
Since COVID.
Since COVID started? Okay. But anyway, so we were a volunteer plant, and they took samples, and every week they would send us back results, and basically they were tracing the COVID vaccine in our wastewater, believe it or not. And we always had the highest concentration of COVID, the virus in our wastewater compared to other areas that volunteer. But that's now tapered off, and everything is back on a normal basis. So, Joe, congratulations, and thanks for doing that. Appreciate it. You can hang that in your office. Okay, Mr. Kelsey.
Yeah.
You're up. And by the way, one thing I did forget, Mr. Kelsey, and I apologize, I'd like to wish all of our veterans, people who've served and are serving, and their families a very happy Veterans Day on Saturday.
The 11th. Okay, this will be real short.
You promise?
I promise this one. This is for you.
For me?
Yeah, they're gonna make it short because you don't like long stays. All right. I read in the newspaper a couple of weeks ago, the Largo's taking care of Tiger's taxes. I think Seneca Meadows should start taking care of Seneca Falls taxes. Now, if you have to put up with Seneca Meadows, you should have your taxes deducted. Half, 3/4, I don't know what you can do, but not just sit on $174 million. And it runs out, and we have to go back to taxes, let them have the other side of the road. This is a dump town. It'll always be a dump town. Stopping this is way, way past that. Now, we always said it was a tourist town because of the Women's Hall of Fame. Well, they're going to have all their receptions and everything in New York City now. So somebody will come up and carve some women's names on the wall there, that's it. So all the other people, they'll be down in New York City. So there's not much, first, if you ever been to a tourist town like Cooperstown, where I paid $100 half a mile away to park in some guy's lawn just to go up to the inauguration of a baseball player. That's a tourist town, and that's where they make their money. In the winter, there's nothing there. So that's all. The ones who won, great. The ones who are going to get a vacation probably need it after so long. So I wish everybody good luck on their next assignments. Thank you very much,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
and you all have a good night.
You too, thank you.
You're not staying?
No, I got something I have to do.
Okay, that was our only signed up petition on the floor. Anybody want to speak? Feel free to come up and speak. Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting minutes of October 3rd, please?
I make a motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. Can I have a motion to approve the budget workshop meetings?
So moved.
Thank you. From
Second.
the 11th and the 19th. Thank you. Got a motion and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. You have 7 communications in your board packet. Condition assessment from the Auburn Road Water Tower, minutes of the zoning board, minutes of the planning board, minutes of the Heritage Preservation Commission, minutes of the planning board of October 24th, notice of filing an application for an alcohol license from Star Andrews, Star's Restaurant on 84 Fall Street. So that's who's doing there. Okay, good. I was wondering who was opening the back up. Good. And a letter from New York State Department of State notifying town local law 3 and 4 were received and filed in the office.
We have questions?
On the communications?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know if I can answer them, but.
Okay, well, on the water inspection of the tower, so I read that. When is the next time the tower is gonna be drained so they actually can go in or look at it with a light? Or, because when I read the report, they only could see the ceiling and the hatch had a little rust on it here and the hatch had a little rust on it there, and basically it passed, but I did talk in there that someday it's gonna be drained and they're gonna go in there and do a more thorough. So I just wondering how many years?
I'm sure Joe can answer that question.
It's every 5 years. Which tower was that report from?
It was the Auburn Road.
The tall one looks like a mushroom.
4 years from now.
Okay. But they will inspect it every year for the next 4 years. I mean, like they did today.
There's different levels.
Oh.
So Van Rensselaer, a couple of weeks ago, we did a complete drain.
No. Okay.
So the next one will be within the next 4 years of Van Rensselaer.
Yeah.
So it's drained every 4 years?
5.
But they come back annually and do this
Annually
little,
and do
this little check.
the exterior, and they put a robot in.
Yeah, okay. All right, okay, just curious.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yep. Old business, nothing to report on old business. New business.
Wait a minute, old business? I got some things.
sale of town property?
Yeah, what's happening with, we can't talk about what's happening with 10 Fall Street or the old racetrack. Talk about that. Can we talk about that or we can't? Nothing
It's
happened?
a board decision. It can be an executive session thing if you want it to be, but it's not required.
I can tell you nothing's happening.
Nothing happened, okay.
Because I thought we decided that our goal was to sell, not move on 10 Fall Street until we knew that a developer was going to have security on 2 Fall Street. And on the property behind the kids' territory, we are still waiting on the grant that we applied for to bring water and sewer to the property. And we have not heard on that grant yet.
Okay.
And if the grant goes through, I won't be around.
But I'm just
I won't be
curious,
around.
if things
Will it
change, once a month.
Will it come in
I mean,
December?
Possible.
Something might have happened in the last 30 days.
No, I would let you know, but, I would hope that the town board, the new town board, fulfills a
Yeah, is
dream
there
of Daly Park.
A
if that
required
happens.
timeframe that the grants are obligated to notify us in terms of when a grant?
There's not with the consolidated funding application, they try to make the announcements by the end of the year, but there's no rhyme or
So
reason.
guaranteed.
That's right.
I think if you remember, we applied for a $1.5 million grant to bring water and sewer from Barrett Street down to Cortland to the property. Okay, that's about all I know.
No, that's it, okay, well, nothing's happened yet.
Yep.
I'm good,
Okay.
thanks.
Have a motion to approve special events. There's only one, right? Missy?
I make a motion.
Second.
Second. Any questions for Missy on this? Was this Wonderful Life one?
No, but I do have a question.
Sure. To Missy or to?
Yeah, hey, are they gonna have the ball drop at the Gould Hotel? I haven't seen
I
an
haven't
event
seen
thing for that.
anything
It's
about
coming
that
here.
yet.
What's that?
I haven't heard anything about
I haven't
that.
heard anything,
This
okay.
year.
All
They
right.
probably are.
So
And also the
Doesn't it
Roanoke
usually come in
submitted their
December?
application.
Another military secret.
Yeah, the race, Kevin and those folks haven't submitted for the race yet, right?
And that's not-
And you haven't probably heard anything from those folks,
I've been in
right?
contact with Jeff Rook, just through email for volunteers on their side. Myself and Lieutenant have been working on the operations plan now for a month. So our side is in motion for everything. So we haven't had any meetings for it
We'll set up those meetings.
yet. Yeah.
And Jeremy and I met briefly this morning about it, so when it comes through, he's good to go.
The race.
The race and the whole Wonderful Life
Yeah,
weekend.
the whole lot,
type
yeah,
of
okay.
thing. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Mike, I just wanna go back
Yep.
to old business for a second, because there was a comment made in reference to, for the new board moving forward. I'm sure that there's gonna be a process or a handover in terms of Matt will be working, you'll be helping us in 'cause all the processes and the grants and whatnot of what's in process and what will.
I met with Matt earlier.
But there'll be a warm handoff with
Well, I
Frank and the other
I
Councilman
called Mr.
Jackson.
Schmitter last night and congratulated him, obviously, and I said, I'm at your will, whatever you need me to do, the transition, I'll be more than happy to help you transition. At that point, I obviously would try to set up a time to meet
Sure.
with.
I just want to be sure that
Oh,
nothing falls
absolutely.
off.
I agree.
And that we're all, because I mean, I'm making notes, but I just don't want anything to fall off the
No,
plate in terms
there's a lot of things that
grants.
the new
that-
board, Jackson
Right.
and Frank, should be, I can facilitate a meeting with Matt and with Lisa.
Well, I think that we should definitely sit down and go over these pieces, especially, with Frank and I as
Yep.
well. Just because the comments have been made a few times and I just want to be sure that we don't miss anything.
I'm all for it.
Wonderful.
I don't want anybody to walk into the situation I walked into 4 years ago.
Perfect.
Okay, everybody received their monthly reports from the different departments. Any questions for our department? Any questions for Lisa?
Frank, I know you got questions.
I don't know if I have a question. I wrote that. I don't think so. If I do, I'll
We'll come back.
If I do, I'll email it.
Okay.
Any questions for Matt? Okay. Counselor, how do you want me to do this? As far as the,
Local law?
yes.
So, okay, so earlier this evening, you conducted the public hearing for this local law regarding the tax exemption for volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers. And it's in your packet. The first page there is the resolution that was adopted last month to set up the public hearing. The second page contains the text of the local law itself. And it lays out that for a volunteer firefighter, ambulance worker, who has worked for a period of at least 2 years, would be entitled to a 10% reduction in the taxable value of their real property. This comes straight out of Real Property Tax Law, Section 466-A. So you also have attached, the following page is a copy of Section 466-A of where this local law, that provides the authority for this local law. So that's there, but that's not a part of the local law, but that is the authority for this town board to take this action.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to read the resolution and get that approved, correct?
Well, the resolution is to set up this,
We don't have a resolution to,
it would just be an up or down vote. You have
Okay.
the written local law there, and it's just, is it adopted or is it not adopted?
got it, okay. So with that, if I could have a motion to accept a local law that will provide our EMT, volunteer EMT people and our
I'll make a
volunteer
motion.
firefighters a 10% discount on their property tax. Can I have a motion for that, please?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. In a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Again, this would be on their primary residence. They would have to show proof that they're in good standing with the fire department. I don't think there's any volunteer EMT people anymore, I don't think. But they would have to show that they're in good standing with the fire department. It's got to be their primary residence and so forth. Steve, you have a question?
Well, I was just gonna, a correction, it's not a 10% reduction in their property tax.
Correct.
It's a 10% reduction in their assessed value.
Yes, correct. I'm sorry.
Taxable.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. Okay, any other questions? All in favor of that resolution then, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and one abstention?
I accept
You
it.
still abstention.
You should really recuse yourself. I don't understand.
Oh,
Abstention is really a no-show. You should recuse.
okay, I've changed myself. Yeah,
You can change that for the record?
Sure.
He's 100%.
Okay.
I don't know what you guys are gonna do when
Man, we're gonna have to call you the parliamentarian.
So you're gonna have to come and be a part of the audience.
Okay, so we had the public hearing on the preliminary budget. I need some direction. You want to wait, regroup, approve it?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve it.
Okay, so Caitlin's going to make a motion. We approve the 2024 preliminary budget to become the adopted budget of 2024. Can I have a second for that, please?
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion?
Well, the only thing I want to point out is it doesn't raise our taxes, so I certainly can't support it. Otherwise, everybody in town knows that I am here to raise the damn tax. And this was disgusting, by the way, from your parent company there, Mr. Black. Low blow.
That was a good one, I like that. Not as good as though when you submitted your water bill to submitted payment for your water bill.
Yeah.
That was classic. That was definitely classic.
I
So,
have-
Peter, would you provide the folks with just a little bit of background, what the total spending plan is, and what the tax, what the raised taxes will be, and then the tax rate, please?
Sure. The total spend on the budget as it is going to be presented, we appropriated $18,438,103, or $103. $18,438,103. I don't get to say big numbers like that every day. There is some municipal accounting in that the appropriations have to account for when we transfer money between funds to the highway, to the water and sewer. The actual spend, the actual appropriation is around $17 million. $2 million of that is actually for the safe walks, or safe sidewalk program that should happen in 2024 if the state releases the money. So we're really spending about $15.5 million on operating the town.
Can I just interrupt you for a
Sure.
second? So sometimes there's confusion about that. So one of the things that the auditors wanted us to make sure we did, when we had capital projects that were going through the town, even though it's not going to cost the town $2 million for phase 3 of the safe sidewalk program, okay? But we have to pay it. We don't get the money until we pay it. So there has to be a system in place where you pay the contractors and the engineers, and then we get reimbursed. So then when we get reimbursed, it goes back into the account.
Right.
So we're not spending $2 million. Our share of phase 3 will be about, I think, $435,000, which has been similar to phase 1 and phase 2. And then this will be the last sidewalk program, which will conclude with about 3+ miles of new sidewalks. And hopefully down the road, the new board will start thinking about putting some money up towards improving other sidewalks in the village, in the town. I think that would be something that hopefully we can do down the road. And remember, there's $177,000 in there for North Seneca Ambulance. That's our contribution request for 2024 to keep North Seneca Ambulance solvent. I'm hoping that the new county board, which is not really new, I think I'm the only one going off, but anyway, the works are in play for countywide.
Barnhart will be going up.
Yeah, Kyle, he already left. He resigned already. So, yeah, right. So there's only 2 new supervisors, but the play is going on where it's going to become a countywide program, north and south, funded by the county. So that's in the works. So that's in that budget. And
So I think the one other important thing to understand about the budget is we lowered the tax rate after the reval calculations. Before the reval, it was $10.18. After the reval, because the property values went up, the tax rate went down to $6.67. But for those of you that are trivia buffs and like to read audits, you would have noticed that in February, the State Controller's Office said that we had more money than was generally acceptable in this reserve fund called the Tax Stabilization Fund, which was a fund that was set up in 2005. We had $1.8 million in that fund. By law, we should have more than 10 million or 10% of our operating expenses in a tax stabilization fund. So during the last workshop, we decided that we would take up $751,931 from that reserve and lower the tax rate by 15% to $5.57. So that also puts that reserve fund in a statutorily acceptable place. So now we're under the 10% level, so we can keep it there. And it actually is, by law, we have to do this. But the municipal law, the last line of the law says, if you have more than this, you must use this money to lower taxes. So that's what we're doing this year.
okay, thank you, Peter. And we're going to confuse you even more later on in the agenda when we have a resolution to override the 2% tax increase by state law. So just in case something drastic happens, we always pass this resolution just to cover our bases, but there'll be no need to do that. But we still do the resolution, so don't be confused by that. Okay? Okay, very good. So, all in favor of adopting the 2024 preliminary budget to become the permanent budget for 2024, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Very good.
I remember when I went there.
Lisa, go ahead. She's still here.
What time is the opening of the bids tomorrow?
2 p.m.
2? Okay, thanks. And those are the bids for cleaning out the intake. So if anybody wants to come and listen to the bid openings, 2 o'clock.
Exciting stuff.
Very.
I think I'm going to skip it, Lisa.
I'm
It's all
gonna,
right. I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah. My guess we're only going to get one vendor probably, right?
We've heard from a couple, but yeah, there's definitely one that's bidding, and yeah, there was one other that reached out, but not sure if it'll be
Lloyd Bridges is not built, bid
Who's he with?
from Sea Hunt? No?
You think Lisa knows Lloyd Bridges?
Too young.
I bet you Lisa doesn't know who Dr. Cousteau is, just for the record. I'm going to go out there and say
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to turn this over to Pat, but this is, the next thing on the agenda is a seeker declaration. So this is for the community center. This is part of the DRI program that we are ready to go out to bid on the skate park. And speaking of DRI, the visitor center is on temporarily hold. We were getting close to finalizing and going out to bid, but there's been a snag with the North Side Canal project and New York State Gas and Electric. They want to charge the town anywhere from $300,000 to $800,000 to review the design work of burying the electrical lines in the poles, getting rid of the poles. Just to review. They're not doing the work. This is just to review the plans.
Who did the design work?
LaBella is handling that part. So Peter and I have been reaching out to our elected officials. We're working very hard. I've reached out to the governor's office as well, but New York State Gas and Electric is a private enterprise, obviously. So, but we're still working on that. But the design for the visitor center, the balcony, if the wires don't get buried, the design for the visitor center is going to get scrapped because the wires would be right there. So we're on hold. We met some of the people of the initial leadership DRI committee had met. There's $405,000 that became available. The Gould Hotel did not take their DRI award. They gave it back, they turned it back. So we have the discretion of where that goes, and the state would like us to put that $405,000 towards the North Side Canal to make sure it covers the electrical work, to be burying the wires. We offered up part of that for that and part of it for something else. In our initial DRI, we had put in a series of kiosks throughout the community to help our visitors find their location and so forth. So we're on hold on both things and nothing has been determined, okay? Ironically, so Kabari's Wellness Center turned back their DRI grant as well. And unbeknownst to anybody, the state just went ahead and gave that money to the new Huntington building in Patchville, because that's obviously a very political, involved organization. So they never told us, but when we questioned them, they did a lot of hemming and hawing.
Now, I got a couple questions. How many pages is the document that LaBella did to bury the wires? Is it 1,000 pages?
I have
Like the
no
phone
idea. I
book?
don't think any of that's been done yet. The actual design hasn't been done.
No, But the gas and electric company wants to review something.
Right.
Okay, so
The
there
scope of the
must,
work.
so there must be some document out there, right?
I don't think they're at the point of, just based on the fact that this scope of work is so massive, that they're saying it's gonna cost us much. I don't think there's no, I've not seen any
So they
documentation.
want $300,000?
300 to 800,000
800, to look at nothing? There's nothing to look at?
at this moment in time? Correct, correct.
Okay, okay. So when there is a moment in time, when there's a document, I'd like to know how many pages it is and how long it would take a reasonable person that has the skills to review it. Because if somebody could review it in 10 hours and make a decision, I'm not in favor of paying somebody $80,000 an hour to look at a document. And I'm not in favor of paying $30,000. I'm only in favor of paying maybe $100 an hour for somebody to look at it. So they better whittle it down. I'll be voting no.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so that's kind of the update there, all right? So this is a seeker, which, again, we have to do a seeker for just about anything in the world these days. So the resolution, first of all, Town of Seneca Falls is the intent to be declared the lead agency status for this project. Resolved in accordance with the New York State Environmental Quality Review regulations, the Seneca Falls Town Board hereby announces its intent to serve as lead agency to conduct an environmental review of the town program to enhance the community and recreation center. The project is located at the community center on Water Street, adjacent to the Seneca River, aka the Cuba Seneca Canal. Project components include a new floating kayak launch and a dock for public access, kayak storage shed, fencing, and skate park improvements. Further resolved that Seneca Falls Town Board has determined that the proposed action is unlisted action as defined under seeker. Further resolved that Seneca Falls Town Board has commissioned Labella Associates to prepare the Part 1 of the environmental assessment form. Further resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board has reviewed Part 1 of the environmental assessment form along with the supporting documentation. And so can I have a motion for this resolution, and then we'll take a look at the Part 1
I'll make a
section.
motion.
Thank you. And a second?
No, second.
And all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So Pat, Part 1, pretty standard procedure?
Sure. And so you have part one. So this is a town project. So this is the town is taking the action. So the seeker is required. You have a brief, and all of this was put together by Labella Associates. And through the whole packet, it is fairly thorough and comprehensive. But you have the quick description there. Just above the halfway point of the page, that outlines the scope of the work, as you just mentioned, the kayak launch, and an upgrade of the current skate park. So this is an unlisted action. It did not meet any of the thresholds for being a type 1 action. That's why there's no requirement that we send letters out to all other involved agencies and wait 30 days and all that. So this is a town project. The town can move forward as the lead agency and then consider seeker on its own. But in so doing, you have, after the first page, you have the second page, which kind of walks through different areas of concern to help guide the town's environmental review. And, first, is it consistent with the zoning? Yes, it is. It's just replacing what's already there. And you can go down through the different areas. There really isn't any areas of concern until you get down. So when you get down to number 12, for instance, you have, is it contained or is it near any building, archaeological site, or district listed on the National Estate Register of Historic Places? Of course it is. It's right downtown. So That required contacting the state, they call it SHPO, but the State Historic Preservation Office. And there is also a letter in there from that office saying they've reviewed the project, they reviewed the application, they didn't find any impacts on the historic district or any of the historic resources that we have here in town.
And I've got a question.
Yeah.
Did they charge us? They did it for
Shippo?
free. They did it for free, didn't they?
State,
Shippo or LaBelle?
They did it for free, right?
the state did it for free,
Okay.
LaBelle is getting paid.
Oh, well, of course, LaBelle.
Yes.
But the reviewer did it for nothing, right?
The state did, yes.
Were you tucking that one away for the 800,000?
Just,
Yeah, I mean-
just the point that things
Okay.
can be reviewed for nothing unless you're greedy. The gas and electric company didn't get any of this money that the state was handing out. Now they're wanting to get their hands in there and get some money.
Okay.
That's what this is all about, greed. Americans screwing Americans, that's what it's about.
It's a British company.
I don't care, British people screwing Americans.
You know, I hate to say it, Frank, but you're beginning to sound like me.
Oh, I-
God,
Well, someone's got to fill your shoes, Steve.
Well, one of the problems with municipalities is you've got to jump through all these beautiful hoops that they make you jump through, and yeah, you're right, it's not right, it's not fair, it's no doubt about it. All right, Pat, so as Pat said, LaBella went through the part one, and so they also did part two, which is in your packet. I know Steve doesn't like doing this, but they went through and they determined that this project will have no or small impact may incur for part two and part three. So with that, if you have no questions, all in favor of accepting this resolution and making the town the lead agency and accepting the part one, part two, part three seeker?
And issuing the negative declaration.
And issuing a negative
The
declaration.
high point.
Thank you. Please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay. Missy, we can move forward.
Good?
Good news, right?
Yeah.
Now, when the bids come in, it'll be probably $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 more. But that's the problem with a lot of this stuff, that this was all done before COVID. And prices, the DRI contracts were all pre-COVID money. And things have gone up, obviously. Okay. We have a resolution here to replace the motor equipment light operator. Whereas the highway department would like to hire a motor equipment operator to replace one that's left, the highway department will use this person to perform all the duties of a motor equipment operator
I
light.
make a motion that we hire the operator light.
Well, we're not, oh, we are. Now therefore be resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby authorize the hiring of Richard Malini as a MEO light, starting at $21 an hour. I have a motion, can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion or questions for Jeremy?
I have a question. Are we able to put in the resolutions that they have, like, they pass all the necessary hiring requirements and whatnot? Because I'm assuming they did the background, right? Because we've had that discussion. Okay. And I guess my next question is, and I just don't know, this gentleman worked in grounds maintenance, so he's worked for the town before.
Jeremy?
What's in grounds maintenance, and how is that similar to the,
You never worked?
no, that's fine, I understand that, but in-ground maintenance in the past, so how are those duties similar to the MEO light? I guess
I'm sorry, Kim.
gentleman has worked in in-grounds maintenance in the past, so this will make a good fit in our department.
I can't remember off the top of my head where it was he worked. I don't have his application in front of me. He did work in some type of maintenance before with the application. What were the people that I called and I looked at some stuff. I failed to bring the application with me to have that information in front of me right now.
Well, Jeremy, just some words of wisdom. You should be prepared to, when board members have a question,
I agree.
give them their answers.
I agree.
We did, Caitlin, Steve and I did meet twice with Jeremy on this person.
Okay, that's fine, I don't know, like, when I think of motor equipment operators and I hear in-ground maintenance, I'm thinking of different things. So when I ask the questions about in-ground maintenance, I'm thinking two different things here, so that's why I'm asking the question.
And
I'm asking for clarification, I'm not trying to be complicated.
somebody has left?
What's that?
Somebody has left?
We're still 2 men down.
That's still the one we're down.
Yeah, we're still 2 people down.
Okay, great. Any other questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, anybody opposed? I have a resolution, whereas the highway department needs to repair a plow truck that was discovered when the department was getting prepared for snow removal. This will be an emergency procurement because the truck cannot be moved without the potential of further damage. Whereas the high pressure turbo and low pressure turbo needs to be repaired on the truck. The estimate from Morrow's Empire Trucking for the repairs is $8,495. Resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board authorize the emergency repairs. Can I have a motion for that, please?
Yeah, can I ask, did we vote on the last one?
Yes, I thought we
Yes.
did.
Okay, we're in favor. We didn't hear it, all right.
We voted, didn't we, Nikki?
Yes.
Okay.
Side vote.
Throw us in the pot for yes.
You guys got a little sidebar going on?
We had some questions.
All right, did you hear this? Did you hear this one?
Yeah, we had.
That one we know.
Can I have a motion for that one?
Yeah, make a motion, we, yeah.
And a second, please.
Second.
Any questions for Jeremy in the discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, just for the record, because this will, it'll come up at some point. Jeremy,
So,
this is the truck that we purchased a new one.
We've got 2 new ones on purchase.
Right, which won't be in for another 2 years probably.
2 to 3
Correct.
years.
So this is to get us through the winter. Okay.
do we get other estimates for truck repairs?
We did not, because it was brought to Merrill's, is my understanding, and the risk of transporting it to someplace else would further damage, if I'm understanding
We went
right.
through this with the blue truck recently when Jim Peterson was in the The truck was brought in, basically same deal. We had to pay $1,500 to have it towed from here to Greenstone and back, just to find out that Marlowe's was thousands of dollars cheaper, and it's the same exact job, just a different truck. The odds are that it's just gonna be beat again, and it's gonna cost us an extra $1,500 just to move it back, because we cannot drive it. It has to be towed. They had to tow a big truck, rather than a small truck.
How many businesses are in the area, so as
That's
far as
really-
quotes and?
That's really it. You got regional, and then you got Marl's.
Okay.
Okay. With that, we already voted on that one, so you want to read this resolution?
No.
Sure.
No, go ahead. I'll make a comment.
This is coming from Mr. Seneca. Resolution to remove utility poles that have been replaced in the town of Seneca Falls. Whereas New York State Gas and Electric is replacing poles in the town, whereas New York State Gas and Electric has been placing the replacement pole next to the old, whereas New York State Gas and Electric owns both poles and other companies are using the old pole for their lines and various equipment, whereas New York State Gas and Electric owns both poles and other companies are using the old pole for their lines and various equipment with no drop date to move their lines and equipment, whereas the look in the neighborhoods around town looks poorly, whereas the town is requesting that New York State give these companies renting space on the old pole a date in the late spring to remove. Now therefore be it resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to the New York State Gas and Electric and Public Service Commission and the state assembly person and the state senator in an effort to move this along. You want to make a motion?
Yeah.
Any second for this?
I'll second.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, oh, sure. So, the people out there, in your neighborhood, they may have been changing the poles, and you'll see that there are 2 poles now next to your other. There's a pole with a white X. Now there's a pole next to it with no X on it. Now they just went down the old Lower Lake Road and put X's on poles everywhere. A couple of them on the Cayuga Nation property, so I'm curious to see how that's gonna go. And I just think it looks terrible. I talked to the guy. They claim the last person to move the equipment off the pole is the one that has to take it out. But that person doesn't own the pole. the gas and electric still owns the pole. They should be taking it out. They shouldn't keep it. Now, on Chestnut Street, where I'm familiar with, they did that in April of this year, and still nothing has been done. So there's quite a few of them, and there must be at least 30 or 40 poles on the Lower Lake Road they're gonna redo, and there'll be 2 poles there. People don't even want a telephone pole in their yard as it is, but now you're gonna have 2, so, and it could be for an indefinite period of time. So somebody needs to tell them to get it out of there, and that's.
Well, I hope you have all the success in the world with this, no, I'm serious, with this resolution, I'm dead serious, okay? I've been working, I can tell you right now, okay, I've been working for 2.5 years on a monthly basis, calling New York State representatives to do the exact same thing you're asking, okay? Poor Mario Frado, down the corner of Garden Street in Ovid, that pole has been there since April of 2021, okay? He's got a bad driveway to begin with, and when he backs out, there's a 1 pole in his way. Now, this is an 80-year-old person who now has to, it seems like a minor thing, but the 2 poles really mess things up. And I've tried, and I call them on a regular basis, and they give you the line of BS that, you know, I'm waiting on Verizon to get their wire out, or waiting on this one to get their wire out, and blah, blah, blah. So,
Yeah, but
I'm serious, I hope.
But they're renting it to Verizon and those other people, so if you're the owner and somebody's renting for you, you can say, hey, look, I want this out of here and move it, if they want to do it.
They're making money.
Oh, it is.
They were making money either way, it's gonna go on the new pole. They're not gonna lose anything. They'll just be losing a telephone pole.
Well, we're still waiting for the new lights on the intersection of Barrett and Ovid and State and Ball, right?
Well, they put the lights up today.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I watched them, I called Pete and told them they put the lights up. They haven't turned them on, they still have plastic bags over them, but they're up.
They should be lit by February.
So I could, if you can share your schedule with me, because I have a lot of free time in my hands coming up, okay? Can you, I can work these things in my daily schedule now, so. Good. All in favor of Frank's resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. I have a resolution here, fixed price project management contract for water meter replacement. Whereas the town of Seneca Falls engaged in a project to replace more than 4,000 meters, the town board approved the contract to utilize MRB Group to provide project management. Whereas the current project is based on time and material cost basis, which creates variability and therefore excess risk. Whereas the MRB Group is offering to move a fixed price contract to complete the water meter for a cost of $38,000. This expense will be reimbursable by the grant received by the town. Now therefore be it resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board hereby approves proposal by MRB Group to perform the services specified in the proposal. Can I have a motion for this, please?
I make a motion.
And second?
Second.
Any questions for Peter or Matt?
Okay. So, you're gonna be the engineering firm overseeing the water meter?
No.
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Unless you,
Yeah.
I don't.
I'm sorry.
So,
I'm sorry.
what exactly did you do to engineer them putting a meter in my house?
So New York State.
You know, there's 4,000 houses.
Yeah, so New York State requires effectively kind of a shop drawing of what a typical meter will look like and what the connection points are, etc. A typical meter, it'll vary by size, right? So we didn't go to your house and your neighbor and your other neighbor. We made some assumptions based on the type of meters that are prevalent in the town. Made a shop drawing of the new meter and said, here's how we're going to connect this service. And then for Gould's and everybody else who's got a big meter or medium-sized meter, we did the same. And this contract effectively manages the rest of that process and ensures the installation is done in accordance with the shop.
When they, so in other words, they may have to, isn't part of this project that they may have to dig in the road to see where the connection is, you know, coming from their pipe into the house.
So today we know where the connections are because the town regularly reads the meter, right? So
No, but what I'm talking about is at the curb stop, they can, you know, where they can turn your water off
sure.
and on? Do they have to dig there?
No.
Not
No,
typically,
Not
not for.
necessarily, no digging there.
No, sir.
It's either a meter in your house or it's
Just
a pit meter outside the house.
Okay, all right, so if you've got a pit, they're gonna keep those pits that are around?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Would be.
I'm
So-
just curious.
So just to be sure we understand what this money's for though, so there are approximately 4,000 installations that will happen in town. And in addition to that, so each installation has a meter and a radio that has to be affixed to the outside of the house. There's a receiver that's been placed on the water tower, and then a system that has to come back into the home office so that we can get the meter reads. So this project, this cost is to make sure that those installations are done in a timely and workmanlike manner, that things are working effectively, and they will do the quality assurance that will allow us to pay the vendor, because I have, if you've seen outside my office, I have $478,000 worth of invoices that we don't pay because they hadn't done this right. So this is what this
So
project.
essentially this, we're signing MRB to be the clerk of the works.
Yeah, precisely.
Right, clerk of the
Yeah,
works.
yes.
And keep an eye on the project,
Yep.
make sure it's running
That's
smooth and
exactly
everything gets done as it's supposed to.
Yeah.
My question is, how do we power these radios?
Batteries in them.
Yeah,
Batteries?
and they're like 25 or 30 years.
Really, 25, 30 amp
Yeah.
battery?
That's what they say.
And it gives you a signal, it'll send the town a signal when the battery's low.
Yeah.
So that the battery.
And so Matt, there's like 4,000 meters that maybe have to be changed. Maybe some people have new meters already.
No, there
You'll
are
want them all
4,000 will be
changed.
changed.
Yeah.
What?
But these are
They'll all
the
change.
Yep, they're
This
all.
is-
All
this
changed,
a-
even though I got a brand new meter?
Well, we
You
won't
don't,
change
we're not
it.
gonna change yours.
Yeah, but-
We're not gonna change yours.
Oh.
But I think we're going back, if your meter's been changed in the last 2 years, we're not changing.
Yeah, all right. So my question, other question is for the $38,000 question. Could have been $64,000 question. But,
We're happy to entertain it.
yeah,
64,000.
so how, out of the 4,000, how many are you actually going to inspect? I mean, you're gonna inspect one out of every 100 or one out of every 1,000? I mean, you're gonna be doing some administrative work. How many installations are you gonna check to make sure they're being done right?
That's a good question, Frank. I'll speak with Tim Carpenter and get back to you on it.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right, okay.
It was in the original, correct? All this stuff was laid out in the original.
Well, it says that there's a proposal attached, and there is.
No, I apologize for
I
that.
know, but that's a legitimate question. I'm
I
asking.
mean, we asked Mr. Went to be prepared.
Yes.
So I think, it says right in here, the service is specified in the attached proposal. And I
Absolutely.
turn it over, I don't see anything.
So, thank you, Steve, I apologize for that. The other part of this is for the board to consider, is this is purely a risk management decision. If everything goes right, we could spend only $20,000. If things go the way they have been going with the project, we could spend $70,000. So that's why I sort of went to them and said,
No, I think it's a great project.
no, I just want to
I'm
make
not
sure everybody understands.
I'm not against the project, I'm just curious what we're getting for our $38,000. I mean, if I go buy a car, I know I'm getting a steering wheel, an engine, headlights, taillights, so, I just want to know what I'm getting for my $38,000. And if I'd like to know how many you're going to install.
I'll make sure we get you that information, sir.
Any other questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye, anybody opposed?
And that is budgeted, I should ask that, correct?
Yeah.
It's part of the overall grant.
Yeah.
If everybody remembers, we, with all the situations we had with census, $240,000, I think, off the original project numbers, so. Okay, resolution here, vacation leave credit holdover limit of 5 working days. Whereas the town of Seneca Falls grants employees paid vacation, whereas the town board has the sole authority to determine policies pertaining to granting and use of paid vacation.
I make a motion, we approve this.
Have a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you. Peter, just cleans up the handbook language, and this makes it pretty clear, correct?
Yeah, and effectively it makes it so we eliminate the step of having to send a note to you to approve holding over the 5 days for employees and creating a situation where somebody's making arbitrary decisions about one employee can have it, one employee can't. So it solves both those sort of,
So you can't carry over more than 40 hours if you're a
Right.
40-hour employee. If you're a 35-hour
Get
employee,
35.
it's 35 or 37.
but it makes it so that the payroll system computes.
So now, if the employee leaves, I mean, I'm just going back to the county. So we allow carryover of 5 vacation days too, but if you leave, you don't get paid for those 5 vacation days in your termination pay, because those 5 days were carried over. Are we doing the same thing as that, or are we gonna pay somebody for one if they leave?
The current language we would pay them.
Oh,
In the handbook. Okay.
yeah, I know.
So this is, so what Peter was referring to when he said you, and refer to me. So if, I don't know, if Kim Rose wanted to carry five days over until 2024, she would have to give me something in writing, and then I would sign off on it, and then I would give it to Tracy.
Right,
So
and
she
you
had
could
to
be
write.
arbitrary and capricious about it.
Correct.
This way it's automatic, I understand.
Correct.
I was just curious if they were gonna get paid for it if they left, that's all.
Correct.
All right, fine.
Okay, any other questions?
All right.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. Resolution introducing proposed local law and providing for public hearing. Whereas the town of Seneca Falls Town Board believes it would be advantageous to the town to
I
override.
make a motion, we override the tax levy.
Second.
Second, motion, questions? Again, this is just a formality, just in case. Any questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. Resolution of Town Board of Seneca Falls approves a new 3-year contract with the command unit. Whereas the current command unit expires at the December 31st, the Public Safety Committee and the union met at various times to negotiate a new contract. The two parties agreed to a 3% raise in 2024 for the chief and lieutenant, and also agreed they will get the same percentage as the Seneca Falls PBA in 25 and 26. The parties agreed to add Juneteenth as a new holiday. The parties agreed that the chief and lieutenant will contribute 11% towards their health. Whereas the union will not require to take a Cooper standard physical test, employees who choose to take the test and successfully pass the test each calendar year will receive a lump sum payment of $500. Whereas the chief and the lieutenant will continue to be allowed to accumulate sick days up to 90 to be used as 8-hour days. However, the benefit cashed out of retirement shall be calculated in hours with a maximum benefit of 720 hours. At the option of the employee, the amount pursuant to section 7.4.2 may be designated to be held by the employer and used to offset health insurance premiums for the retired employee. Resolved that the town board approves the 3-year contract 24, 25, 26 with the command union. Can I have a motion for that, please?
I'll make a motion.
And a second?
Second.
Caitlin and myself met with Chief Snyder numerous occasions. The language in this is no different than the PBA contract. It's all the same. So nothing has really been added. The 3% for next year is what the PBA is getting for next year. The PBA contract expires at the end of 2024. So if there's a different number there, the command unit would get what the rank and file are getting.
Okay, I gotta have that.
Sure.
First of all, I didn't know there were any negotiations going on, and I am on the board, but it's okay. Second, I'm not gonna vote for this, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because the whereas, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, has nothing to do with the people here. It has to do with paying somebody 35% of their salary, if they have the sick time. 35% of their salary when they retire at their current hourly rate. So if a police officer works 2,080 hours a year, base, so does Mr. Snyder and so does the lieutenant, doesn't matter who it is, could be anybody. And if you take 720 as a percentage of 2,080, comes out to be 35%. It's really 34.964, but I made it 35. So that would be, when they leave, if they had the 720 hours, the town would have to pay them 35% of their current salary, which it could be, let's just say somebody was making 100,000, so we'd have to pay them $35,000. I just think that benefit is way too rich and we can't afford it. Now,
Can I say something first?
not to be a hypocrite.
Can I say something first?
Well, no, not to be a hypocrite. When I left the county in 2010, retired, they did pay me for 450 hours of sick time at my 1983 rate. So I made $10 an hour in 1983, but I got paid for my sick time in 2010 at my 1983 rate. And all I'm saying is, this is too rich of a benefit with all the other things we're paying for. Retirement, health care, sick. You know what? If somebody has 720 hours of sick time, God bless them. You know what that means? That means they didn't get sick while they were working. What's more important about not getting sick? I'd rather not get sick and not use any of my sick time and be able to say when I retire, I'm not ill. Yeah, hallelujah. You know, some poor person, sick their whole career, they got 0 sick time. So I just think it's too rich, you know, unless you're gonna renegotiate that down to something that's reasonable, not 35% of their total time, you know, out of a year. I'm gonna vote no. And it has nothing to do with people. It just happens to be. It's just too much money for this town to be spending. It's ridiculous.
Okay,
We give
so-
people all these benefits after they're gonna get, we've paid for the retirement, we've paid for their sick time. You know, we unused sick time, we gave vacation time. Just a whole host. What the town should do is like we did at the county one year. Every employee gets a sheet with their base salary and then how much the benefits cost. Like $100,000, you know, $25,000 towards retirement, another $25,000 towards insurance, another $4,000 towards Social Security, another some towards.
Yeah, the average is about 33% per employee.
More than that. Well, Mike, the retirement alone is 25%.
Okay, but so just so you know, okay, and I don't have any problem with your objection, but just so you know, every employee in the town of Seneca Falls has that benefit right now.
Well, there's time to
Every
make
employee.
it's time to make a change.
Yeah,
That's
you
all
can
I'm
do that,
saying.
and you're gonna have-
And I'm making a change now. No.
Yeah, okay, and
Vote no.
and the PBA contract expires at the end of the year, 2024, so certainly you can get involved in the negotiations for that.
We can go to
Because that's their
arbitration.
benefit
Yeah,
as well.
I'm not
Okay,
worried about
that's all I wanted to
that.
say,
I'm
that
not,
it's a benefit that everybody has in the town.
I just think it's crazy.
Got it. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor of approving the 3-year command contract, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed?
No.
Okay, that's passed 4-1.
That was a good argument you made, Bill Frank, it really was. It was, and I think you should.
It was like in my cousin Vinny. You made a good, lucid argument. But
The answer is no. But yeah, you should. I didn't realize that that applies to every single employee in the town. That should be probably something that should be looked at.
How's that matrix?
What's that?
How's the matrix?
The matrix, Peter Socia has it. It's done.
Yes, we'll use it for the evaluation.
Yeah.
Okay. So, next resolution, adoption of a townwide cash collection policy. Just for the record, this is part of our response to the state comptrollers, auditors that have been in. So Peter's been working very diligently on these things. Whereas the town of Seneca Falls has multiple offices that accept payments in cash, whereas the New York State Comptroller's Office has recommended the town of Seneca Falls adopt a formal policy for managing these collections. Now therefore be it resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board hereby adopts the following procedure as its formal cash collection process.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. I didn't want to read all that.
No.
Thank you. Kevin, second for that, please.
A second.
Thank you. So this is, as I said, Peter's been working very diligently on addressing these items from the comptroller's office. This will now, once approved, will be shared with all of our offices, and to make sure that this is being followed.
Got it in front of you?
Yeah.
Let me look at it.
One of the things that the new town supervisor needs to do is regularly check on these things as the chief financial officer to make sure that the Parks and Recreation submitting a report to him, the courts submitting a report, the town clerk's office is submitting a report. So, and Peter, if anybody's looking for a model report, you might want to have to talk to Missy, okay? Because her monthly report to me is very in-depth and explains every cash transaction. And all. Okay, any questions?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yes.
go ahead. You can go ahead and go first.
yeah, mine's more of a comment. I mean, well, it's a question first. Did you include any of the folks who manage cash in the town, within the town, in developing this process? Did you include them in the conversation to develop this process?
Well, there are only 3, and I did involve 2 of them. The clerks really didn't get a chance to review it, but
Yeah, I guess that's what I would say, is that before we approve this, I think this should be reviewed by the folks that it's going to impact, to get some of their feedback, because they're the ones that are going to be adhering to this, and they may see some things and that they see don't work. They may see some revisions
the
that
issue,
need to
though,
be added.
Steve, the fundamental issue here is, though, that they have to make it work, right? I mean, this isn't an option.
No.
Like, receipt books aren't an option,
I
right?
understand that. I understand that clearly,
Okay.
Peter, okay? We don't need to argue that point, okay? My point is, you didn't include them in how the process is gonna flow, and I would think you should. That's my,
Point taken.
that's,
Thank you, sir.
okay, that's my input.
Yes, sir.
And evidently, you don't take feedback very well, so maybe that's why you didn't include them.
I not,
Well, I don't know why you're jumping down I know what we have to do, okay? I'm just saying, let's get the people who are going to do it included in the process. Instead of saying, okay, here's the process for you, and it doesn't work. Okay, what do they do then? We revisit it next month, and the month after? Get them involved up front. That's all I'm saying.
thank you for your input.
I got some questions.
Easy.
I'm all for making sure the money balances at the end of the day, believe me. But on number 5, cash handling duties should be assigned. So the collections, deposit, preparation, and reconciliations are assigned to different employees. So that's 3 things.
Mhm.
Some departments that collect money don't have 3 people, so somebody is going to have to do 2 out of the 3 things. Is that going to be?
No, that can't happen. We
Okay.
have to figure out the system
Okay, so that's
in which
something.
somebody is going to review these things.
Okay. Okay, no, let's
We
just,
have to
let's
solve
go,
that problem,
let's, okay, well, we won't worry about that. But then, on number 6, so, if 2 people come to a window where they collect money at the same time, so 2 people can't be talking to clients at the same time if there's money being dealt with, because it says, that's what I didn't understand. Different employees should not work simultaneously out at the same cash.
Yes.
So at the county, when I was the treasurer, we had one cash drawer, and there was Jim and I
Okay, so
collecting money.
let me just, so theoretically, if Missy is taking money, okay, for, let's say, basketball, okay? Justin shouldn't be working out of the same cash drawer as Missy's working out of, okay?
Well, what is that cash drawer? So he can't wait on a customer at the same time
Correct.
she is, because they don't have 2 cash drawers.
Correct. There gotta be, so Missy theoretically would have to reconcile her drawer before she turned it over to Justin.
So that, or.
And that was in the audit.
All this stuff is from the audit.
I understand.
Okay,
about-
but you
listen,
guys don't, you know.
No, I understand about auditors. They live in a perfect world. Look, let me tell you what. Seneca Falls has got an army of employees. We got an army. Tire, maybe they got 2 or 3 employees in an office. Lodi, I don't even know if they got anybody. Covert, maybe.
What's the point?
My point is, when the auditors come, they make these recommendations, but how come it's got to be done in Seneca Falls and it can't be done in Lodi
Frank,
or
are you
Covert
familiar with
or Tire?
Addison?
But I'm not trying to give you a hard
Addison?
time. I think the money needs to be accounted for. The first thing I think of is people don't steal. That's my first premise.
Talk to the residents of Addison when they stole
They do.
$1.1 million.
That's why you have
Addison's like a
auditors,
low guy,
that's
right?
why you
That's-
have auditors that catch them stealing.
And here's the other thing,
They'll
okay?
arrest them. But I'm
Again, we
just
keep
saying,
forgetting
some of
about,
these
listen, we
things
keep
might be
forgetting about, Frank,
impossible to do.
this stuff was supposed to be in place in 2019. The state comptroller's office came in 2008, late 18 and 19, and all this stuff was supposed to be done, and it never got done, because nobody did it.
Okay,
Nobody
so-
knew about it.
So, all right, I read this thing. Now, as reading it, it sounds like that each department that collects cash will need to develop their own internal policy to be reviewed and approved by who? Who's going to approve it? Because when I read this thing, you know, it comes down, number 11, it sounds like that each department that collects money will have to develop their internal policy, and it will have to be approved by who? That's all I'm asking. Why can't I
would say
ask
the chief
questions?
financial officer of the.
This is only the beginning of questions. I'm here 2 more years.
I would say the chief financial officer of the town.
Okay. All right.
I just think that, look, Peter, you know, in your past job, have you received cash like we're talking about here? Has that been one of your roles?
Let me paint a scenario.
You aren't gonna answer my question?
I am.
Well, no, I want you to answer my question.
Can you say
Have
the
you in
question
your
again,
past
please, sir?
life, any of your work roles, been in a position to receive cash?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Multiple.
Thank you.
And so here was the situation in December, January, and February of 2022 and 2023. Actually, even before I got here, one person in the water department willfully took hundreds or thousands of dollars of cash without any accountability or oversight every day. And I watched that happen, and I couldn't sleep at night, knowing what could happen. Knowing that that person, even, and as we discussed, Mr. Churchill, at a previous meeting, the reason we have so much money to make is because we have been blessed by fundamentally honest employees for many, many years. But my experience strongly dictates to me that we shouldn't count on that and hope that that's going to happen in the future. I spent a lot of nights not sleeping during that chaos because I couldn't account for all of the money that wasn't mine, that is the taxpayers, the people in this town's money. And I don't think that I would be doing my job. And I don't think that the auditors were out of place by saying that the town has to fix this or something bad is going to happen. And that's what I didn't want to sit down and write this document, Mr. Churchill. That wasn't my goal.
I don't think you should have in a vacuum, and that's all I'm arguing. I'm all for checks and balances, and that's what we're talking about here.
So just for the record, excuse me.
And but I've designed a lot of
Mr.
systems in
Churchill,
my
I
life.
shared this
And I've always
document with
included the
multiple
people that were going to
departments.
use the
And I shared this
system in
document
the
with you
design
previously.
process. That's all I'm saying, Peter. You should include the people that are going to be abiding by
Thank you,
this
sir.
process
Yes.
in
And
the design of the
2 weeks
process.
ago, when I asked for your input, I would have appreciated that. But I
For
said
this
that to you.
process?
Yes.
You don't need my input. I'm not receiving cash. You need to go to the courts, you need to go to the clerk's office, you need to go to the water, you need to sit with the.
Actually, I don't have to go to the courts because they have a process and this doesn't apply. They have a state.
Then don't, no, you obviously don't have to, and you didn't.
Or everybody
I
in the
have
court is
I have a
honest.
problem with that.
No, they have.
The court is
a
their own
process.
jurisdiction.
Hey, would there be any reason to where we couldn't revisit this in January, to where we could sit down with Melissa and develop to what, I guess, see what is.
It's the board's project.
I mean, I have no problem, you know, and I agree that we definitely need a process and we need the adoption and whatnot.
Mhm.
But to Steve's point, to include and develop that process with the appropriate entities, I mean, yes, it does make sense, and I agree. Is this the policy and procedure? I mean, is this a blanket policy? Possibly, but there's probably, there's a lot of holes in it, I think specifically for, because there's gonna be specific ones per department.
But don't we have a duty as a board to make policy?
Right,
And
but we have new people
as a
coming
board,
in
make policy
January.
and share the policy with our employees, isn't it our duty? Do you think?
Yeah, but how do we, and I'm not
How am I coming
trying,
across?
Stephen's got a legitimate
that we're
point.
not having a
I'm not
duty?
saying he doesn't have
My
to do
question
it.
is,
I'm not saying
we
that.
have new members coming in January that are taking over the departments, like town clerk, for instance, right? That's one of the biggest departments that is accepting cash, right? The water, maybe the water and sewer, we have other people that are, there's a big change coming. So why are we passing this now if we're not including them?
It doesn't, again, doesn't matter, I just hope nobody kicks it down the road.
Why would we kick it down the road?
I don't know, I just hope it doesn't get lost in the shuffle and
Well,
all
I
that
guess that
stuff.
goes to my earlier comment, you know, I mean, again, it's that warm handoff and making sure that we're all working as a team.
Not a problem. We have a resolution, a resolution and a second, okay? Is there any more discussion? Okay. All in favor of the resolution as it's written, please say aye. Aye. All opposed to the resolution, please say nay.
Nay.
Nay, okay, that's defeated, 1 to 4. Okay, so Peter, the direction of the board is to get input, okay, from the clerk's office and Parks and Recreation, which you did already, but go get it again, and whoever else collects money, I'm not sure who else collects money, courts, whatever, okay?
Oh, well, just to be clear,
Who does collect money in the town? Who are the people?
Parks and Recreation.
I know they collect
Clerk.
money.
Court.
Clerk. Court. Is there anybody else?
Water Department.
we don't take cash anymore in the
Water Department.
Once in a while.
They don't.
We collect a small amount. Insurance.
Police department, they take.
Police Department?
We have a policy in place already approved by accreditation, so which Pete, I gave a copy to, probably get some of the information on that, you guys too, so.
You collect money some places, well,
We used to.
used to,
We used to.
Get rid of that.
The leaf bags, we did away with that.
with the scrap metal.
We can only accept checks.
Right.
It's dropped right off.
Because back, not too long ago, they were taking cash and would sit in somebody's desk for 2 years and then turn it in. Okay. All right. All right, let's see. Resolution. Surplus dock and dock ramp, whereas the town of Seneca Falls has removed the floating dock and ramp from bed.
Motion, we surplus the property.
Okay, second, thank you.
I got a comment on it.
Any questions for
I do too.
Missy on this?
Missy, I know I looked at it, but I just want to ask, now, there is the ramp that used to go down. It's all made out of aluminum and it's all, reinforced. Is there anything that you need to go across a creek for anything or anything down behind? The thing is about 20 feet long and it probably can hold 3,000 or 4,000 pounds.
I removed it, I know exactly what it is.
Oh, you know exactly what it is. Is there any way, is there anything you can use it for? If not, we're gonna sell it. I'm just thinking, is there anything we need to go across that you can think
Not
of?
that I know.
Do we need to make a bridge, to have a bridge?
You need like 4 times the size of the actual cemetery.
All right.
How about for our, do we need
Really
a,
selling unsafe equipment on auctions and is
You
that?
what?
Well, it's not really
Well,
unsafe, the way it was
our,
installed for us is
our
unsafe.
fountain there that we
Oh, so
bought,
it's
still-
we inherited, can we just store it?
Got it.
Unsafe.
I tried to sneak that fountain into the budget, but I didn't do it.
All right, so there's nothing you can do with it? Nothing? Okay, all right. Okay, I'm good. I just thought maybe we could unload it on maybe the highway needed to cross.
Okay.
Nothing at the water plant you need to cross, no brick or nothing? All right.
They will, as soon as we get rid of it.
Yeah, okay, we're good.
What's up? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. Resolution here, the town board of Seneca Falls approves the town supervisor to sign agreements with Barton LaJudas. Whereas Barton LaJudas has provided design costs for wastewater treatment plant backup generator, wastewater treatment plant chemical storage room, wastewater treatment plant dewatering improvements, Fall Street pump station improvements, wastewater treatment sedimentation equipment, water treatment plant low lift pump replacement, and King and George Road water line project. The total fees for all the project designs listed above would be $21,000.
I make a motion, we contract with Barton with Judas.
Okay, and a second, please.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Discussion or any questions for Lisa? I think Caitlin and you and Frank met with Lisa and Peter and discussed some of these things. The whole idea here is, I think Steve, was your concern last month, how many of these projects can actually get done. The idea here would be if we get a couple of month head start, we can hit the road running in January and hopefully check them off the list.
All right, can I ask Lisa a question?
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, in the 21,000, which I think is a reasonable amount, are you going to do the analysis of how much of the plant needs to run down there with the generator?
Yes, so just to clarify, this would be what we call preliminary engineering of these projects. So like we discussed, this will allow us to provide you guys with a better cost estimate for design and construction that's more accurate to what you need. For the generator project specifically, yes, that will allow us to look into those two alternatives. We discussed the one being running the plant at full capacity and the other being just running those critical elements.
Okay.
And then we can give you both of those costs and we can discuss what makes more sense to move forward.
Okay, so on the generator project, I do want to be involved in that because, you know, we got to do a pad. And there's no reason in the world the town can't do it. And I don't want to put Jim on the spot, but at the fire department meeting, they were talking about building a pad for the thing. Jim didn't know how to do it until we got out in the kitchen and told us how big it had to be. It needed rebar here and this and that. So we do have people that know how to do it if they want to step up and we'll do the pad. We got the highway guy. So some of the jobs we'll be able to do ourselves, okay? We don't need to. And then I want to bid out the electricity, the generator, everything is going to be bid. We're going to do a bid on the whole thing. It takes 10 bids to get it done. And I'm not going to do one bid. We're not going to pay $450 an hour for electricity. Okay? Electrical work. Okay.
Yeah, so the
All
thought
right.
is that these would all be separate projects. We're not going to have one contractor doing all seven.
Okay. Very
When-
good.
We might be able to lump like the two water projects together if it makes sense. But
Yeah,
yes,
wait.
the generator would be separate from the.
And when you get the design work done, then you'll share that with the board and they'll make a determination.
Yeah, so we would, through this authorization, we would prepare a technical memo that would better detail what would be necessary, what the design would consist of, and that cost estimate to bring it through design and construction.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Lisa?
Thank
All
you.
right, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. Resolution here, whereas New York State law requires the town board to approve all appropriations, whereas the town received grants for the DRI project and the Berry Street culvert study that were not budgeted, whereas in these transactions, adjustments are to be made in the 23 budget at the recommendation of the Office of the Comptroller. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby allow the budget modification to allow the proper transfer of monies to the allocated funds. The first budget modification is to increase account number H48997.200 by $50,000 for the additional expenditure related to the DRI contract. Second budget modification to increase account number A1330.20 for 50. Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you. Again, folks, this is just bookkeeping, okay? This is money, grant money that we get in once we submit our invoices and so forth. So it's just someplace where Nikki can allocate how to pay for it, and then when the money comes in, Tracy puts that money back into that line item. Okay, any other questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried.
Mike, before we move on, I have a question, because Frank, you brought up about bids. I just want to be sure that, are anything over $4,000, is it anything over $4,000 that we have to get bids on? If there's have to be repairs, or how does that work, if there's jobs performed or anything like that?
For the procurement policy? Is that what you're,
If there's work that has to be done, for any sort of like biddable job?
I think
How many bids do we have to receive?
I think the number is 8,000, or 5,000, I think.
5,000?
You
Yeah, I
remember?
mean, it's written in the policy that's depending on how much is to be spent, affects how many, you know, whether it can be a verbal, you know, a lower amount can be verbal quote. You know, if you're, you know, doing a simple job with local contractors, that can be a phone call. More expensive items, they say you have to request 3 written quotes. And again, you're requesting the quotes, not necessary to actually have received them because you can't control that, but you have to make the request. But it is spelled out in the procurement policy with different thresholds. And then once you get to $20,000 for just buying stuff, or $35,000 for buying stuff and having work done, that's when you have the public bidding process with the sealed bids and things like that.
Is that the same for, because I guess I'm going back to, Jeremy, I hate to pick on you, but the work that needs to be done on the truck. We only have Morrow's truck, because I know you said that, was it regional? They're too expensive, and Morrow's was the only option.
So I'm not, that's why the resolution was written as an emergency fix. So sometimes in our procurement policy, if it's an emergency situation, then you don't have to go out and get multiple bids, okay? Again, what Jeremy told me,
Right now is.
So we don't have snow right now.
We have snow coming anytime. We don't have.
where is Regency?
What's that?
Where is the other place?
Regional?
Regional.
That's up under this edge, you know. If we notice a problem in like June or July, it'd be great, yes, to go to, try and find 3-4 different places to get an estimate from. But with snow right around the corner.
There's not other mobile places to come?
Mobile places?
That people come to you to come and look at it, to find quotes? So we're expecting a
Typically, they want to
snowstorm?
go out to the shop because of diagnoses and all that.
I just want to be sure that we're always being consistent.
But typically they want them at their shop to, put them on their computers and stuff like that. A lot of people don't have that computer equipment to be mobile. It's,
They don't have the
not
ability to be mobile?
that I know of anyways. I'm not saying there's nothing out there.
Upstate isn't?
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay. Motion to pay water leak credit and a pool credit. Water leak credit for $553.32 and pool meter credit for $41.64. Motion please for that.
I make the motion.
Thank you. Second? Second it? You second it, Steve? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. James, welcome. James, can you fill the board in on the application that we were going back and forth on some of the emails this morning?
That was just something that Dawn forwarded me, and the health department forwarded it to me as well. I guess it's just an application for the state to assist the town in developing a source water protection program. I guess the state designates you a representative to help you and guide you, but I don't really have any authority to designate or make a water protection program, so that falls on the board. So if the board wishes for me to apply to that, I'll fill out the application, but just so everybody knows that will involve involvement from the board to make local laws and zoning changes, and they had a whole list of things, that you guys can do to help the source water protection. So that kind of falls on you guys. I just want to make sure there was interest before I.
You say it has to be, the application by the 14th?
Yeah, that's how the state does things, and they had the webinar a week ago, so apparently they don't give you much time to.
Well, you guys better do all day, right?
Well, we can't live without water very long, so it's important to keep what we have clean and protected, and we all know it's threatened every day on so many fronts. So I support it 1,000%.
Has there been any discussion with the other stakeholders in terms of their
I
willingness to
haven't.
participate in?
I haven't talked to anybody, I reached out to you guys first, because you're the number one, pretty much, for here. The health department knows about it, because they forwarded it to me as well. She encouraged that everybody apply, so I'm sure Waterloo is too. We might not even get selected, but
But we should file just in case.
that's what I figured. But I'd hate to have the state give us the resources and then, you know, it fall on the wayside and nobody wants to do
No,
anything with it.
certainly, if we apply for the grant and we get selected, or we obviously
Well,
have
I'll take the tip.
have a
I
duty.
think it's important. I'll watch the webinar and I'll reach out with questions.
Only the beginning's important, the rest of it is like showing how to type out the application.
So, Jim, is it, so anytime, this is a state thing?
It's like the
State deal?
DEC and the DOH
Okay,
are
so-
together.
All right, just my experience with the government is nothing is for free. They don't give you anything for free. So there must be some costs involved for the town, right? I mean, are there hidden costs that they're not telling us about?
Not in the energy stuff that they showed us. I don't think it cost us anything to apply or anything. So I mean, I guess if we come back and we win it and they say you guys have to match it or whatever, then you guys can decide, well, we.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, what are we applying for? $100,000, $1 million?
There's no money.
There's no money.
You're applying for a representative that the state pays for to meet with us and assist us in implementing this program.
Okay, and so how is it going to affect, well, the email I wrote, I don't know if anybody read it, but,
I did.
you know, how is it going to affect the farmers, the grape growers, the golf course people,
It's up to the
you know,
laws.
the lawn people like
What
the
about
turf?
golf course?
That falls on the
We're
board.
talking about golf course.
Yeah, that's to be determined, right?
Because at the golf course at Seneca Falls, we
Yeah.
throw fertilizer and fungicide and stuff.
It's all,
That
it's all
stuff-
environmentally improved.
Everything goes towards the lake. in
Really?
the county.
All slopes down.
So they
you know,
speak about all that.
I'm still interested in having good water, and you and Joe say we have good water right now. But, you know, I'm also interested in having food too.
Yep.
And so, you know,
Agreed.
if there's no fertilizer or fungicide or any of that stuff gonna be allowed with this thing, how are we looking, you know, so I don't really know enough about it. This
Well,
is
that
the
falls
same-
on the board. Pretty much it's just the state, I believe, is gonna send a liaison here to meet with you guys to come up with a plan. And if you wanna tell them, we don't wanna pass any laws that do anything against farming, then you're not going. I mean, it falls on you guys. You have to make the legislation, not the state. The state's not doing anything. The state just wants to guide you guys into making
So
decisions.
who's applying for it? Is it gonna be you or is it gonna be Joe?
I mean, they sent it to me to fill it out. I don't know. It's really
Does
gonna
it
be the
depend on the
town.
license?
They send it to both of us, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, because
It shouldn't matter, either one of us. Whichever one you guys want us to.
well, I'm just asking in terms of differences in licenses and whatnot.
You know.
Whatever you guys determine you want us to apply, just say,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
apply.
in favor of
And
it.
we'll make sure.
I understand that, but in terms of the specifics from the state,
Sorry, I can't hear you.
never mind.
We need to involve those people. Yeah, I'm in favor of it, as long as we involve, you know, the people in the community, like farmers, grape farmers.
Like I said in the email, I don't know anything about this program, okay, but there's gonna be some responsibility. Once you make the application, there's gonna be some responsibility on this board to follow through with things and making contact with Seneca County Department of Health and making contact with other organizations, Pupil Watershed. It's gonna be the responsibility, somebody designated from this board to do that. And as I look down, there's 3 of you that are gonna be here. So do you 3 wanna take on that responsibility?
Yes.
I can't hear you.
I'm not opposed to it.
Okay, good, it's
Yeah.
all done. We're gonna apply for the grant, James, okay? Okay, we make a motion to pay for the bills.
Make a motion.
Second?
Second, Nikki, this is not my copy, right?
Hey.
This,
Yes, you can.
can I have this?
Yes.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
All right.
All in favor, please say aye. Folks, thank you very much. Have a very happy Thanksgiving.